to Deep Sleep Stories. If these stories have helped you through restless nights, please leave a review. Reviews are what help this podcast grow, reach more listeners, and stay alive. Without them, even something meaningful can slowly disappear. So if this show has brought you comfort, that small act truly helps keep it going. Now, settle in, and let's begin.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where you can let the day soften at the edges and drift into rest. Tonight, you'll be carried to a gentle wonder, a bed resting on a calm sea, floating beneath a sky that feels like a lullaby. Settle in, just as you are. Let your shoulders loosen as though a warm hand has smoothed away the tightness there. Let your jaw unclench, your tongue resting easily, your brow unwrinkling as if you've remembered something kind. Feel the weight of your body meeting the mattress, the blanket settling over you like a quiet promise. There is nothing you need to do except breathe, and even that can be effortless. Inhale slowly, as if the air is cool and clean. Exhale slowly, as if you're letting go of a long-held sigh. With each breath, imagine the room around you growing more peaceful. The sounds you hear, near or far, can become part of the gentle background. The thoughts that come and go can pass like clouds, untroubled by your attention. You do not have to follow them. You can simply notice them and let them float onward. Now in your mind, allow a door to open quietly without creaking into a place that welcomes you. A place where the air tastes faintly of salt, night blooming flowers, and the horizon is a soft, blurred line between water and sky. A place where the sea is calm and the world moves at the pace of a slow heartbeat. Breathe again and let yourself arrive. The first thing you sense is the hush, an enormous velvety hush, like a blanket spread over the whole world. It is not silence exactly, but a tender quiet full of distant, soothing sounds, a gentle lap of water, a soft whisper of wind, the smallest creak of wood, like a friendly house settling into sleep. And then you see it, a bed on the calm sea. It floats as naturally as a leaf on a pond. It is not tossed or tugged. It simply rests there, buoyant and serene, as though the water itself has agreed to cradle it. The bed is large and welcoming, built with pale driftwood, polished smooth by time, and its frame is carved with faint patterns that resemble waves and spirals, shells and stars. The linens are white and cloud soft, edged with a subtle shimmer, like moonlight caught in thread. Pillows sit at the headboard like gentle dunes, inviting the weight of a tired mind to sink in and be held. The sea around it is calm in a way that feels almost unreal. It is a wide, unbroken sheet of dark glass with a satin sheen, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it seems the bed is floating between two heavens. Here and there, slow ripples pass beneath, widening in circles, as if the water is dreaming of movement rather than making it. Above, the night sky is vast and patient, Stars are scattered like salt across deep velvet, and a moon hangs low, soft-edged, wearing a halo. The air is cool, but not cold, with a gentle dampness that soothes the lungs. The scent of salt mingles with something faintly sweet, as if a garden somewhere has sent its fragrance drifting across the water. You don't need to think of where this sea is or why the bed is there. It is enough that it is. It is enough that you are here, safe, warm, and allowed to rest. Inhale, exhale. As your breathing slows, the scene becomes less like an image and more like a feeling. Soft, spacious, unhurried. And now as you settle into this calm, the story begins to glide from your perspective into another, letting you relax even more, letting you simply listen as if you are resting beside a quiet window while a gentle world moves outside. Somewhere on a calm sea beneath a moonlit sky, a bed floated without drifting far, as though it had an anchor made of peace. The bed was not alone. It carried a traveler, not a traveler of roads and maps, but a traveler of long days and busy thoughts, of responsibilities and noise. The traveler had come here without needing to understand how. The sea had welcomed him the way sleep welcomes the weary, without questions. He lay back on the bed, and the linens accepted him with a sound like a sigh. The mattress was firm enough to feel supportive, yet soft enough to melt the sharp edges from his body. When he turned his head, the pillow gave slightly, shaping itself to him as if it had been made for this moment only. The traveler listened. The sea made tiny sounds as it breathed. The wind moved slowly, not pushing, only wandering. And somewhere, perhaps very far away, there was the faint call of a night bird, a single note that rose and faded, leaving the air even more still. The bed rocked so gently that it was almost a suggestion. Rock, pause, like being held in the arms of a great patient, being made of water and moonlight. With each small motion, the traveler's thoughts loosened. They did not vanish all at once. They simply began to lose their grip. A memory drifted through, then slid away. A worry appeared, then dissolved into the dark, like ink in water. The traveler did not have to chase anything. The sea would carry it all off. Above him, the sky was deep and luminous. The stars looked close enough to touch, far enough to feel timeless. Some were steady pinpricks. Others shimmered as if winking. The moonlight laid a pale pathway across the water, leading nowhere and everywhere. A silver road that did not demand footsteps. The traveler's eyelids grew heavy, but the story of the sea was not finished. Not yet. The calm had layers, like a lullaby with verses that gradually fade. As he rested, something subtle changed in the air. The scent grew a little sweeter, the wind a little warmer. It was as though the sea had decided to show him something gentle, something meant to deepen rest rather than stir it. A small glow appeared in the distance. It was not a harsh light. It was soft and round, like a lantern behind mist. It bobbed lightly on the water, approaching at a pace that felt unhurried. respectful. The traveler watched without lifting his head. His body remained heavy and safe, while his attention floated like a feather. The glow drew nearer until it revealed itself as a tiny boat, no bigger than a bathtub, carved from pale wood. It moved without oars. The water itself seemed to guide it. Inside the boat sat a lamp in a glass sphere. And within the sphere was a gentle flame that did not flicker wildly. It burned steady, like a calm heartbeat. The boat drifted alongside the bed and paused, hovering there as if waiting to be noticed. A thin cord of woven seagrass connected it to the bed frame, tying them together in a friendly way, like companions traveling side by side. Then from the boat, a figure rose. It was not a figure in the solid way of waking life. It was more like a suggestion of a person shaped from moonlight and mist, with edges that softened into the night air. The traveler did not feel fear. The presence felt familiar, like a comforting dream. The figure's face was kind but indistinct, as if it could be anyone who had ever offered warmth. A friend, a guardian, a gentle stranger who smiled in passing. In its hands, it held something small, a seashell, white and smooth, cupped carefully as though it contained a secret. The figure leaned toward the traveler and placed the shell on the edge of the bed near his hand. The shell was warm, as if it held sunlight inside. And then, with a slow, unhurried motion, the figure bowed, just slightly, and returned to the boat. The little boat did not leave. It stayed, lamp glowing softly, as though it had arrived to keep watch while the traveler rested. The traveler's fingers brushed the seashell. The moment he touched it, he heard a sound, not loud, not sudden. It was a quiet murmur like distant waves inside a cave. But within that murmur were more delicate tones, chimes, wind through reeds, the faint hush of rainfall on leaves. The shell did not demand attention. It offered it, the way a warm cup of tea offers comfort, without asking anything in return. The traveler held the shell to his ear, and the sound grew clearer, not louder, just clearer. It became the gentle voice of the sea itself, speaking in images rather than words. In the shell's song, the traveler saw a shoreline. It was not any shoreline he knew. It was a place of dreamy softness, where sand looked like powdered pearl, and the tide moved in slow, luminous breaths. Along the shore were stones that glowed faintly beneath the moon, and tall grasses that swayed as if remembering music. Farther inland, there was a garden. The garden was filled with plants that seemed to drink starlight. Leaves shimmered like polished jade. Flowers opened and closed with a rhythm that matched the traveler's breathing. There were blossoms shaped like cups, holding dew that reflected tiny galaxies. There were vines that curled into spirals, and ferns that unfurled with slow grace. In the center of the garden stood a small pavilion, built from pale wood and draped with gauzy curtains. The curtains moved in the breeze like quiet ghosts of silk, never frightening, only serene, and inside the pavilion was a chair, wide and soft, made for resting. The traveler watched this vision with the ease of someone half asleep. The shell was cool against his ear. The bed rocked. The lamp in the tiny boat glowed like a steady companion. In the vision, a person entered the garden. This person moved slowly and quietly, as though they did not want to startle the night. They wore a cloak the color of dusk, and their hair shone faintly with moonlight. In their hands they carried a small bowl. They walked to a fountain near the pavilion. A fountain that did not splash loudly but poured water in a thin, whispering stream. They dipped the bowl into the fountain, and when they lifted it, the water inside glimmered like liquid silver. Then the person walked back through the garden, and wherever they poured a small amount of that shimmering water onto the ground, the plants seemed to relax. Leaves softened, flowers nodded. The air grew calmer, as though the very world was exhaling. The traveler felt his own muscles mimic the garden. His shoulders softened, his hands loosened, his breath deepened. The shell's song continued. The vision shifted from the garden to the sea again, showing the bed from above as if the sky itself were looking down. The calm water stretched wide, and beneath its surface, faint lights moved, slow, gentle shapes like drifting lanterns. They were not fish exactly, nor anything threatening. They looked like little whales made of glow, or schools of luminous leaves that had learned to swim. These lights passed beneath the bed, circling it slowly, as though they were guarding it or blessing it with their quiet presence. Each time they passed, the water's glow rose slightly, and the bed seemed to float even more steadily. The traveler lowered the shell and placed it on the pillow beside him. He did not need to listen closely anymore. The calm had entered him. The shell's song lingered in his body like a soft echo. Above, a thin cloud moved across the moon, briefly dimming the light. The sea darkened and then brightened again, like eyelids blinking. The traveler watched the cloud drift onward. It stretched and thinned until it became a faint smear of silver, then vanished into the larger night. The tiny boat bumped softly against the bed frame. The lamp's flame did not waver. The traveler wondered with a dreamy curiosity who had sent the shell. The thought was gentle and slow. It did not demand an answer. As if responding, the air shifted again, and the traveler became aware of another presence, not beside him, but beneath him. The sea, though calm, was alive. It held the bed like hands hold a sleeping child. And now, from below, something rose, not in a way that broke the water violently, but in a slow, careful way, like a bubble rising to the surface. A round shape appeared near the foot of the bed, pushing up just enough to create a small swell. The water there shimmered, and the swell moved closer, nudging the bed with affectionate care. The traveler sat up slightly, not fully, just enough to see. A creature surfaced. It was large but peaceful, like a whale, though not quite. Its skin was dark as midnight, and along its back ran faint lines of light, like constellations drawn on velvet. Its eyes were calm, deep, and wise, reflecting the moon like a quiet mirror. It breathed, and the breath did not come out as a loud spout. It came out as a gentle mist that drifted over the bed, cool and soothing. The mist smelled faintly of rain and salt, and something older, like stone warmed by sun. The creature hovered beside the bed, keeping its body mostly submerged. The sea lapped quietly against its sides. It looked at the traveler with a steady kindness that required nothing. The traveler felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling of being safe and watched over. The creature shifted slightly and the bed rocked, a fraction deeper than before. Rock. Pause. Rock. Pause. The motion was more pronounced now, but still slow, still comforting, like a cradle in the arms of the world. The traveler's eyelids drooped again. The creature closed its eyes as if settling into a shared rest. Its breathing was slow and rhythmic, and each exhale created a soft fog that curled around the bed like a protective veil. In that fog, the traveler saw small images, soft, fleeting pictures that drifted through the air like dream bubbles. He saw a candlelit room where someone read quietly by a window while rain tapped the glass. He saw a forest path under a canopy of leaves where sunlight filtered in golden beams and everything smelled of moss. He saw a mountain lake at dawn, smooth as glass, reflecting pale pink clouds. He saw a quiet kitchen where a kettle steamed and warmth filled the corners. These images did not ask to be understood. They were simply comfort, offered as gently as a blanket. The traveler's thoughts slowed further, becoming less like sentences and more like soft impressions. The day's edges blurred, the future loosened, the past grew distant. Only the present remained, simple and safe. The bed, the sea, the moon, the quiet lamp, and the breathing of the gentle creature. A breeze moved across the water, carrying a faint sound. Music, perhaps, or the memory of it. It was as if someone far away was humming. The tune was slow, repetitive, soothing. It rose and fell like the tide. The traveler listened with half an ear. The humming seemed to come from the tiny boat's lamp. The flame, though steady, had a softness to it, as though it were singing without sound. The glass sphere glowed a little brighter, then softened again, matching the rhythm of the traveler's breathing. The sea creature opened one eye, then closed it, content. Time passed in a dreamy way. The stars shifted subtly, not in a hurry. The moon slid a little along its path, still low, still haloed. The sea remained calm, the ripples slow and wide. At some point, the traveler's hand reached for the shell again, not with intention, but with sleepy instinct. His fingers curled around it, and the shell's murmur returned, quiet as distant surf. This time the shell showed him a different vision. It showed a room beneath the sea. In that room, the walls were made of smooth stone and living coral that glowed faintly in blues and greens. The light came from floating orbs that drifted slowly like jellyfish made of moonlight. The floor was soft sand, and across it lay rugs woven from seaweed fibers, pale and silky. In the center of the room was another bed, smaller, tucked into a nook like a cozy nest. The bed was covered in blankets that looked like woven foam and cloud. Pillows were piled high, and beside it sat a small table with a cup that steamed gently, though there was no fire. A figure moved through the room, slow and graceful, their steps barely disturbing the sand. They adjusted a blanket, smoothed a pillow, and then turned their face upward, as if listening to the world above. The traveler could not see their features clearly, but he felt their tenderness. Whoever they were a caretaker of rest, a keeper of quiet. The figure lifted their hands, palms up, and the floating orbs dimmed slightly, making the room even softer. They lowered their hands, palms down, and the orbs brightened again, just a touch, like a bedtime lamp turned low. Then the figure made a gesture toward the ceiling, and the ceiling became transparent. Above it, the traveler saw the surface of the sea, the moonlight rippling, the bed floating, the tiny boat's lamp glowing. He saw himself there too, small and peaceful, cradled by the water. The figure beneath the sea smiled, and even without seeing the smile, the traveler felt it like warmth. The vision faded slowly, as if the shell were closing its eyes. The traveler's grip loosened, and the shell rested against his palm. His hand sank onto the blanket. His breathing became deeper, slower. The sea creature beside him exhaled another veil of mist, and the bed rocked again, steady and patient. Rock. Pause. Rock. Pause. The rocking felt like being carried across a calm lake in a small boat, safe within a wide world. It felt like being held on the edge of sleep, where everything is soft and nothing sharp can reach. A gentle drizzle began, not a real rain that would chill or soak, but a magical sprinkle like cool dew falling from the sky. The droplets were tiny and warm, dissolving as they touched the bed's linens, leaving no dampness behind. Each droplet seemed to take a little worry with it, carrying it down into the sea, where it could dissolve into nothing. The traveler did not move. He simply received the drizzle like a blessing. The tiny boat's lamp glowed slightly brighter, as though pleased. In the distance, faint lights appeared along the horizon, slowly rising like stars being lifted from the water. They formed a loose arc, a quiet circle far away. The traveler watched with heavy eyes, more sensing than seeing. The lights were lanterns drifting on the sea. Each lantern was enclosed in a glass globe, like the lamp in the tiny boat, and each globe held a steady flame. They moved in an unhurried procession, circling the bed at a respectful distance. As they circled, the water seemed to smooth even further. The ripples became longer and slower. The night felt deeper, more protective. The lanterns did not speak. They did not need to. Their presence was enough. A silent chorus of light, a lullaby made visible. The traveler's mind began to drift into that pleasant place where thoughts become images, and images become feelings, and feelings become warmth. He no longer wondered about the shell or the figure beneath the sea. He no longer needed to understand the sea creature's kindness. The story had shifted from meaning into comfort, from curiosity into rest. The lanterns continued their slow circle, and the traveler's eyelids finally closed fully. Even with his eyes closed, he could still feel the world around him. He could feel the bed beneath him, the blanket on top, the air on his skin. He could feel the rocking. He could hear the small lap of water. He could sense the lamp's glow like a warmth in the dark. The sea creature breathed. Inhale, exhale. The traveler's breathing matched it without trying. His chest rose and fell in a calm rhythm. His muscles softened further, melting into the mattress. His hands lay open, empty of effort. In the darkness behind his eyelids, the shell's song became a faint echo, then a softer one, then simply a feeling of being near the ocean. The lanterns drifted farther away, their circle widening until they were only small points of light like stars on the water. The drizzle faded. The sky cleared completely and the moon shone unobstructed. Its light lay across the traveler's face like a cool hand, soothing the brow, smoothing away the last traces of tension. The sea creature sank slightly, still near, still present, but more like a guardian beneath the surface. Its constellation lines glimmered faintly, then dimmed, as if it too were falling asleep. The tiny boat remained tied to the bed, lamp steady, flame calm. Everything slowed. The rocking became smaller, more subtle, until it was less a motion and more a gentle suggestion in the body. The sounds of the sea softened. The wind quieted. The traveler drifted deeper. In his dreams, he walked again through the starlit garden from the shell's vision. He moved along the glowing stones and felt the soft grass beneath his feet. He passed the pavilion, the curtains breathing quietly. He sat in the wide chair and felt his whole being supported. He watched the fountain whisper. He watched the caretaker pour shimmering water onto the ground, and he felt calm spread through him like warmth through tea. In his dreams, he floated again on the seabed, but it no longer felt strange. It felt natural, inevitable, as though the ocean had always been a place where rest could float. He dreamed of drifting among lanterns. He dreamed of glowing creatures beneath the surface. He dreamed of the quiet room under the sea with the floating orbs and the soft sand, and the bed tucked into a nook like a nest. His dreams were gentle and slow, like long breaths. And slowly, without any sudden change, the story began to wind down, as if the world itself were lowering its voice. The sea grew even calmer. The sky felt farther away, as though the stars had settled into their places and decided to be still. The lamp's glow softened to a dim, friendly warmth. The bed's rocking became almost imperceptible, more memory than movement. The traveler slept. His face was smooth. His breathing was deep. His body was heavy with comfort and light with ease. The sea creature, somewhere nearby, breathed slowly too, its presence like a quiet heartbeat beneath the water. The tiny boat drifted gently at the bedside, lamp steady, flame calm, as though it would remain there all night, keeping watch. The lanterns on the horizon were now only faint points, barely visible, like distant stars. The drizzle was gone. The air was clear and soft. The bed floated on, not traveling anywhere in particular, simply resting on the calm sea, supported by the patient water. Everything was safe. Everything was quiet. If any last thoughts drifted through the traveler's sleeping mind, they were soft and unimportant, like feathers falling onto a blanket. They landed, then slid away. Nothing needed to be held. Nothing needed to be solved. Only rest remained. Only the slow tide of breath. Inhale, exhale. The night continued to cradle the sea. The sea continued to cradle the bed. The bed continued to cradle the traveler. And now, as the story quiets into silence, you can let yourself drift the same way, into warmth, into stillness, into sleep. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.